Thank you for waiting.
Took you long
I
enough.
think Raven went somewhere.
Man, my wife got pizza in my lap faster than you got to your door and back. Come on.
Oh, snap.
Well, I need to get food for like 3 people. And there were like 3 bags of stuff. But hey, man, pizza, sweet.
Yeah, pizza. Wish I had pizza.
I wish I had pizza too.
We're
I only had
ordering
one
pizza for
piece.
dinner.
Alright.
Raven, I forget. I don't gain proficiencies in my attacks, right? It's just whatever it says for the plus to hit.
Uh,
I mean, it's
yeah, your plus to hit includes the proficiency.
Okay.
Yeah, in the monster manual or whatever.
I need to really be sure that I'm reminding myself I have Indomitable now, which actually, can I just paste it? Yeah, so like that's a thing I got at 9th level that I haven't used because I always forget about it. So I can reroll a saving throw that I fail.
Yeah, it's helpful.
I always, I mean, it wasn't really critical in the last fight, but I just
Yeah, but you never know, right?
important to remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of like just if you have advantage, roll twice in case you get a 20.
Yeah, basically, kind of like that. Only this is more like, hey, I could maybe win a wisdom save or something potentially,
So,
or it could be now.
for context, Brennick, I don't think you get the cold breath,
Oh, really?
but you will get. I will give you multi attack instead.
Okay. So
You can only knock prone on 1 though, so you're gonna have to choose.
On which attack is?
Yeah, which attack?
Okay,
is
so
gonna
like
be
if I
knocked
hit
prone.
2 targets, I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
knock
So
one.
you get
Yeah,
to,
that makes sense.
you can knock prone on 1, but then the second is sort of a follow up to that, so you wouldn't have the same force behind it.
Okay, cool.
I think that's fair.
Do I still gain like the cold immunity?
You gain. It's gonna be resistance instead of immunity.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, cold
Alright.
resistance is still pretty fucking good considering.
I mean, resistance basically you ignore almost all cold weather. That isn't like super extreme.
Yeah,
Which
well,
we're in
it's
super extreme, but
yeah, it's less that, it's more from damage, and you guys are in a pretty nasty place, so.
But I still get the other features just like I would with my other B shapes, like keen hearing, pack tactics, all that shit.
Yes, you get all that. It's the magical stuff about it that you're not going to necessarily gain.
Makes sense.
But yeah.
Okay, so we're in the Northern Weir, and this is where the Wyvern Riders of Bahamut are, right? And
Yeah,
Torm?
this is sort of where this is sort of their home away from home in a way. Actually, this would be more their home. This is where their young are, where the young wyverns are sort of brought up, etc. Where Kiokrasi is sort of their home away from home, the place that they're meant to guard. But yeah, so you've been led into this chamber by a stocky, well-built dwarf, sort of braided beard and long hair. Looks older even for a dwarf. Like he's seen his years for sure. But still very, very much in good shape, sort of thing. You don't really see anyone else around at the moment, and Lucian, you know this as Uthal, or Uthal. Uthal Snowcoat, he kind of runs the place. Yeah, name's apt.
Cute name. Cute.
Yep. You can see
I'm
he sits
Lucian.
down on he sits down on a bench.
This is that one guy.
Yeah.
Remember his
Next to
name?
him is a warhammer of his own. Yeah, it'd be Uthel.
Uthel. Yeah.
Uthel, for those of you wondering.
I'll reach up to shake his hand and say, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name's Carillion, and that's Ta, that's Nyx, that's Bramnik, and that's
Oh, wait,
Zuzia.
At this
We're
point,
here to help you with your problem.
At this point, Bramnik, you sort of depart after asking, if there's a spot you can use, and start working on burning some incense.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So the rest of you are in the chamber with Uthel.
I'm gonna gesture towards the halberd with meat covering it, or whatever you did with it, Carillion, and say, "This meat is for your men. We can't." Then I'm gonna turn to Carillion and say, "We can't eat all of it."
Not with that attitude.
I'm sure we could. Come on. Let's try.
Uthel sort of looks over and says, "There aren't many men around here right now, but sure some of the wyverns would be happy about it."
Mm-hmm.
About how many men do you have manning this outpost?
Currently, about 50.
Okay.
We were pretty low, and most of them are out flying, trying to find out what happened. You say you're here to help with our problem. Where'd you come from?
Kyo Karate.
Huh.
There's a very large detachment of wyverns headed this way. Consider us the forward scouting team.
Oh, I know about the wyverns.
You
gave that call.
Motherfucker, where's Bramnik? He's got the letter from Paladin Neil.
Would you have left that behind? Or...
No, I handed that over to.
Oh yeah. So Lucian, you have it.
I'll hand it to. God damn it.
Oh, you have it, thank God. Hi, my name's Carillion. What's yours? Luke?
He looks at you and says, "The name's Uthel Snowcoat. What can I help you with?" Oh, this. Okay, hold on. And he sort of breaks the seal on the letter and starts reading through it.
I'll kind of giggle at his name.
Well, I mean, you've met him.
Yes.
He's
still
been the
find it
one putting
funny.
you up. Yeah, that's fair. He sort of throws you a sidelong glance, but reads through it. Okay. So you're here because of Neil. That makes a lot more sense. All right. Well, don't know exactly what you can help with, but well, I guess we can start at the beginning.
Before we do, we're gonna go ahead and share the meat we got from that rock that ambushed us outside the entrance, and as a further gesture of goodwill, create food and water. We're the like the Great Hall, right?
Why
would you create food?
Why are you making more food?
We have so much food.
I say that out loud, by the way.
Wow. Just sort of looks at you and goes, "Well, we were set for food. Now we're set even more, I guess. Don't really know what to do about this."
Do you know what waste is?
It's good for 24 hours, and it'll disappear after that.
It's bland. I'm not there, so I don't even care.
Wait, do I?
You guys will be able to use less of your own food, I guess.
We just brought them 50 pounds of rock meat.
Well, it's also 50 dudes who work in the fucking mountains in the snow who also are probably super jacked and need the extra protein.
Well,
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Meat is always good.
Well, our patrols aren't likely to be back for another day or two, but the ones that are here, I'm sure will appreciate it. Of course.
So I could bring in the wyverns, whatever, they can eat it.
Yeah, fair enough. Either way, this letter says you're here to help. What exactly do you think you can do to help?
Well, we stopped that assassination attempt on the High Priestess of Sylvanas. Was that?
Yes,
Yes.
The one 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
Really?
the one last night.
That was 2 weeks ago.
That was like 2 days ago or a day
There was
ago.
an assassination attempt 2 weeks ago.
Oh, there was another
And
one
then
when
there was
they
one
Oh,
last
tried to
night.
finish
right.
her off.
News hasn't really gotten here yet about that.
Right. No, not that one. There was another one. Same group, same target, but we managed to save her.
So you can stop assassination plots. Well, that's a far cry from finding a wyvern in the Arctic.
Right. However,
So-
is there, and I know what I'm asking, sort of, is there any way we could see where the dragon napping abduction took place so that we can maybe try and get some clues from who might have done it, where they might have gone?
Well, okay. Let me he sort of stands up, he says, "Wait here a moment." Steps out, sort of you can hear like, his boots on the stone. As he sort of walks out into the entryway on the far side from where you came in that leads to a larger chamber. He walks out a little bit. It takes him about 5 minutes or so, and he comes back. He says, "I'd like you all to at least try to be quiet, but you can come with me." And he sort of leads you down. As you exit this room, you do see a huge chamber. In fact, as you step in to your right, you can see the opening that leads out, into the sky. The same opening that the wyverns took off from. But he takes you the other way, quite a ways in. Eventually, coming into a large rounded chamber off to the side, where there is a not quite sleeping, but looking exhausted wyvern, sort of in the back of the chamber, looking at all of you sort of defensively, but not making any moves. He looks at you and says, "Just let's not go any further. She's a bit angry, as one might expect.
I wonder why.
I will
It's
go ahead
worse
and
than you might think."
I'll go ahead and lay my halberd against this side of the doorway, or like close to it, and then
Yeah,
bring
just
out
on the rock, yeah.
my let's see, my holy symbol of Zarquan, and just say to her in Draconic, Great Wyvern, me and my companions here are here to try to help and find your daughter, and bring the kidnappers to death and or justice.
She, you see this huge head. Now, you saw the wyverns from before. This thing is the size of easily of those rocks. Instead, she's huge. She sort of turns this massive head towards you and hisses in your direction in a kind of stay the fuck where you are right now motion, I guess you could say. Really can't get much more out of it than that necessarily. It seems like she might understand what you're saying, or at least like the gist. But Uthal sort of looks to you and says, "It's not gonna work, really. She's okay. Here's the situation. We had a hatching of a new queen egg. It was stolen. The problem here is that there was a second queen egg. It too was stolen.
Wait, 2?
The queen, the child queen worm, was stolen, as was the other queen egg. Yes.
That's not good.
What the fuck?
How
And
many
I'll just
people-
I'll peek over to the current Wyvern Queen as I like exclaim, "What the fuck?" And it's like, "Oh shit, sorry." I'm gonna quiet down. I'm gonna walk past the doorway and be like, "Dude, what the fuck? How did this fucking happen? Did you guys were your guards sleeping? Are they dead or what?" That
No, the guards were here. It made no sense. We had, at the time, 45 of the 50 normally stationed here were here. It
here in this chamber or here just at this base?
he sort of backs all of you guys up a little bit so you can then see down the run, right? And there are alcoves all along this long sort of tunnel in the stone and ice, where you can see, scratch marks and spots where wyverns probably slept or just were. And he says, none of the individuals reported anything odd until it happened. We don't know what happened exactly, but whoever did this knew what they were doing, and that's the terrifying part. We have currently have 43 of our riders out searching the frost wastes, but we haven't found anything yet.
How big or heavy, I should say, are the egg and worm respectively?
Well, the egg itself is well, and he sort of like puts his arms out and then just sort of stops and says, "It's about the size of me, actually. That's probably the easiest way to put it. The young wyvern would be the size, well, at that point, was about the size of you, looking at Utah."
that's pretty big.
Yes.
This reeks of magic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else anybody else would get in and out without being seen.
What, like a teleport spell, like a dimension door?
I'm
Alright, I'm gonna
thinking-
pull on the Eldritch Sight and take a look around. And
Sure. Give me a. You're looking for magic? Yeah, give me an Arcana.
Yeah.
In that instance. Okay. You do see some faint magic around what look like barriers, or sort of protection spells, things like that. It looks like this place is decently well defended. You can actually, with that, with the detect magic and everything, you can see glyphs in the walls that seem to be triggered on non approved individuals entering. All sorts of things along those lines. But you don't see anything beyond that, really, at the moment. So
oh, I have a weird question. Is there anything around that's not magically protected?
okay, so I'm gonna move us really quickly back to
That map?
that other map, and I'm gonna just use that to sort of draw this out for you. Because I mean, it's kind of a weird situation. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave all that stuff towards the top, please, just so I can draw properly. I'm just gonna move you guys up here. Okay, so what you see is a sort of a cavern, right? It's kind of like that, right? And it snakes around.
Wait, Robin, didn't you show us a picture of the of like a weir last week?
Not exactly.
I could have sworn we had a
Alright,
picture of what you wanted us to like, what it looked like.
Well, you would have seen maybe like the mountain. I think I might have shown that, the mountain itself. But this is a long. Sorry, the second one's not meant. Regardless, but that's sort of like the shape. It's like a wide base, and then it tapers towards the ceiling. Along that area, carved into the rock, are bands, right? Of arcane glyphs periodically down the whole way. With yeah, and that's where the protections are in. There's also various seals that you can see in the chamber itself. So looking top down, right? It would kind of look. The whole thing would kind of look like that. With that being the doorway, or the entrance area. The Queen's area being back here. Right? If that makes sense. And then all
Yep.
across.
Yep.
And so you guys are standing basically right here. Right? In this spot. Now, obviously, it's much bigger, but yeah. And there's a band across here of arcane glyphs that seal off and protect, this entire area. There's also some glyphs in the ceiling and along the walls and on the floor, all along sort of the outside edge of this area. The Queen Wyvern herself is sort of in the back here.
Are there like anti-teleportation magics or defense or like wards here, or what?
Looking around, not so much anti-teleportation, but just sort of a general anti-magic set of stuff is here. Sort of, it's sort of like a trigger counterspell. Trigger, dispel magic. There are a few glyphs along those lines. There's also anti-invisibility. There's all sorts of stuff.
Is there any spells that is a defense towards like language spells by chance?
How do you mean?
Well, Nyx wants to try to talk to the queen and let her go in and like look around and like ask her questions and shit.
Yeah, nothing quite like that. I mean, you can try it, depending on where you cast it from. But I mean, there are anti-magic, so if you cast inside of this area or try to cast into it, it would likely try to dispel that. Just in general.
Okay.
Would it dispel any enchantments or enhancements walking in? Like if you had it on you already and then
You don't
walked
know.
in?
You wouldn't know necessarily.
I'll take Paladin Uthal aside and just kind of whisper as quietly as I can. Could it be
Yeah, he
possible?
sort of looks at you. Actually, he's not very much not a paladin. Weirdly.
Oh, is he not a paladin?
No, he's not a paladin. You do see a sort of a holy symbol in a sense, very much like Lucian's, but not a paladin symbol.
Oh, so
just sort
Sir
of
Uthal.
a follower, but he's not a paladin. No.
Oh, apologies. Sorry. Sir Uthal.
No worries. You wouldn't necessarily know.
Could there be somebody who was perhaps mind controlled, charmed, or like magically fucked with to like do something? Because I mean, if there's anti-magic stuff in there, how would they get in? Well, by teleporting or whatever, or how would they get the fuck back out? with nobody noticing?
It's something we've thought about. However, unless it was a very powerful spell, it's unlikely that it would have survived past the glyphs themselves. That a mind control or a charm or something along those lines likely would not have survived past the glyphs unless it was extremely powerful.
Let's go ahead and assume that yes.
It's a possibility. We also haven't ruled out the possibility that it was an inside job, which is why part of why we have so many of our riders out right now.
Is it possible for us to speak with her by chance, the queen? That is, like, it's pretty vital that we get as much information as possible, and maybe something in the room that could be found for clues or something.
I mean,
I
I
would
tried
advise
earlier, but she
against
just
it,
kind of hissed at
however.
me.
I would
If,
advise against it, however. Arlan did speak with the queen, of course. Arlan being her rider. And got what information she could.
Where?
So is there anything else besides what you told us that they mentioned?
Well, nobody's really sure exactly what happened, but I have my theories. And they're not great, but they're the only thing we can really work off of. However,
Where's this rider?
see what you came to see. For the moment, if you step past that glyph line, I cannot promise your safety. That being said, if we want to talk further, I'd much prefer to leave the queen alone. Give her what minor rest she can get.
Did you guys find any tracks, drag marks, or anything?
Give me an investigation in general.
Oh shit! That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I'm.
From where you are or whatever.
Can I?
Oh, what minute?
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, we'll go with
Get better
Ta.
than me.
But yeah. I was gonna say one with advantage or Ta, but like it's both over 20, so you do see some stuff.
Good
what
job,
you
Ta.
is I'm gonna do this as a draw shape. So this is where the queen is, right? You can see another spot kind of over here that has some bedding and that sort of thing. And you can make the assumption that that's where the younger wyvern was. You can also see 4 eggs over here. None of them are. They're actually a bit smaller than Uthal, and you can kind of assume that they are regular, silver wyvern eggs, not queen eggs. But that seems to be roughly where they might have been kept. There are, looking at the walls, and especially at this back wall and kind of over here, you see insane numbers of claw marks. And as you're sort of looking at those, Uthal sort of, perks up and says, "Yeah, that's why we don't go in there. She's been a bit irate."
Can you blame her?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you guys kind of didn't do your job very well, but it seems like it's
He looks at you.
pretty
and
out
says,
of your hands.
We've protected her for 300 years without fail. This is something different. And that's why I have my theories. For the moment, though, if you've come to see what you came to see, let's head back one where it's a little bit warmer. I can explain this from the start, or at least as far as I can tell, anyway.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna
Follow
bow
him.
to the queen before I leave.
She is she still looks very defensive. but she doesn't really give out a hiss or anything like that. She's just sort of watching all of you very closely. And you can actually see she starts to edge. I mean, she during this entire thing, she's sort of edged closer and closer to her eggs, and in a very protective manner. Considering you guys are brand new to this area, she's never seen you before, doesn't know to trust you or anything. Yeah.
So
yeah,
as
so
we're
you guys, what's
as
that?
we're walking back, can I just ask Uthal, where's her rider? Where's the rider that
She's currently sleeping. Considering the events of the last 24 hours, it seemed best. And unfortunately, she attempted to calm the queen down, and unfortunately did not quite get out of that unscathed. So, nursing a wound and trying to sleep it off. She'll be available later, perhaps, but she needs a rest.
all right?
So, for context, you guys kind of head out this way, then down here, and go back through that area to the other room. So you guys all sit down. At this point, Bramnick, I'd say you're starting to wrap up now. On your end, so you'd be sort of trying to make sure the incense isn't continuing to burn or catching anything else on fire.
Right.
And trying to get the smoke out of the room at this point. So as you guys enter back in, the door opens to a little room off to the side, and a puff of really thick smoke enters into the chamber. It collects near the ceiling as it goes out with the smoke from the fire. You all smell like a really pungent incense odor.
God, I mean, listen, Bramnick, I know we said you smell, but really, that's a bit much.
I don't want to know what you've been doing in my room. I hope you cleaned.
I just kind of clap, fuck, what's his name? What's your name, Tanaka?
Lucian.
Oh, I just kind of
Lucian.
clap Lucian on the shoulders, like, I'm sorry. That was your room?
Yep.
I'll just blow the smoke.
All right.
Sorry about that, man.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So
Hey,
you
you must be hungry, Bramnick. There's 45 pounds of food over
Yeah,
there. That's
I'd love to sit and
somebody.
eat, while you guys catch me up on what you've been talking about.
I'm just gonna start eating. Don't about you
all
guys.
right. So you guys all sit down, start eating, and Uthal sort of sits down with you, and you hear two heavy thuds from in there, and Uthal just sort of smiles and says, "Well, I guess they're back."
Wonder if they got him.
Who knows? We'll see. It doesn't really matter that much. As long as they're away from here, it's fine, considering.
Gotta thank them for later for when they helped us fight off those rocks.
Well, they're going to be tending to their wyverns for a little bit, but perhaps in time you can speak to them. Regardless, here's the situation. Someone, or something, or several someones, we don't really know, snuck in here and did, in fact, take the young queen and the other queen egg. We don't really know who it was. We do have scouts out searching. However, I have a theory, and it's almost a good thing that you showed up, because we can't really test it. You're going to need some context, though. Yeah, you can
Okay.
start your short rest now.
Yeah, can you get rid of my big ass dog?
It's a
Got rid of it.
monster. Jeez.
He sort of looks to all of you and says, "We haven't always had the Northern Weir to ourselves. We had to fight for it. There are many others here in the Frost Wastes, including, well, I guess you could say the one who controls this area. Specifically, Koenig, Lord of the White, second lieutenant of Cryonex, the Prince of Ice.
Are those elementals or giants or?
That's a lot
Well,
of
the Prince of
titans.
Ice is an odd individual. I don't really know what he looks like. I don't know that he's ever come here. But I'm sure he's terrifying in his own right. However, the second lieutenant is an ancient white dragon.
Oh,
Motherfucker.
And he controls
Nice.
most of the creatures here in the Frost Wastes. Normally, he lets them do as they please. However, when we initially chose to take our home here, as it's the only place cold enough to incubate silver wyvern eggs, it was a constant struggle. We fought for 100 years, maybe more, until we finally managed to at least sort of attain something here, but, well, Koenig wasn't happy about that. Those rocks that you met earlier, they're teenagers compared to the big ones. There are much scarier things in these frost wastes. They're young. We call them frost claws. The juveniles, the truly small, just hatched. They're less like large birds, more
Like small monstrosities.
Have you ever? Well, they don't fly so much. They can normally glide. Their wings grow much at an older age, but they have long legs. They're very fast, and each one has one large talon on each claw. They run across the frost in packs, hunting down whatever it is they wish to eat. And they're terrifying in and of themselves.
They're like giant vultures.
Think an
Right.
ostrich.
Like ostriches with a sharp claw.
With a velociraptor claw on them.
Fun.
Yeah, and very sharp beaks.
That's the way.
Velostrid.
Guys, we have no business being here. Maybe we should just be on our way.
It's not the worst of it. All of that was sent at us, including as well as yetis and frostworms, everything. It was only with the intervention of the Moonriser himself, an ancient silver dragon, that we were allowed to keep this place, with the caveat that we would not bother Koenig, and Koenig would not bother us. He maintains dominion over everything else, but he's never been happy about it. But we can't go to where he is. If we do that, the war will begin again. If he found a way past our defenses, and being an ancient white, he could have. Although they're usually not quite that smart. Would have taken some serious investment. Regardless, if he did, it's almost a perfect crime in a sense. And I've talked about those theories, and it's been the last thing on the chopping block so far. Nobody wants to restart that war. But it is a possibility. If any Dragon Rider is to ever enters his true domain, if they go past the glacial fields, just outside the Usif Peaks, then, well, that's a breach of the contract, so to speak.
A
And
declaration of war.
This
basically.
contract. What is there to hold this Koenig?
Mostly the agreement and the threat of the Moonriser returning.
Can I would I know anything about not like maybe these characters specifically, like these Titans, but just like their dragon types?
give me history, I suppose.
I'm trying real hard, guys.
Okay. You actually recognize the name Moonriser, but you have no idea why. But as you know, silver dragons are typically lawful good. White dragons very much chaotic evil. White dragons are, you would know, are predatory. They are vicious. They are the most sadistic of the chromatic dragons, easily. Typically less intelligent, typically less conniving. However, they are very powerful in their own right.
And they do ice.
Yes, silver dragons also actually do ice for the most part, but are the most known to walk in human form and interact with you know, the mortal races of the world. Typically lending a hand as long as it's not, you know, as long as it falls within their own ideals. And yeah, that would probably be about as much as you could get with that role and at the moment.
Okay, so I mean, I'll just ask Uthal then. So literally, the only thing keeping Koenig from doing anything is the threat of Moonriser.
Well, that, and if our numbers have swelled since those days, I don't believe he necessarily wants a war either. He would lose many of his own subjects, and I'm sure his Prince of Ice wouldn't be happy about that himself, but admittedly, this seems too calculated for him. But it is something that, given the opportunity, he would do.
Or somebody else do for him. Maybe not the
Yes,
method, but the goal.
It weakens us. If he can eliminate our queen, that means our numbers will eventually drop, and despite being predatory and in it for the hunt and the kill, Koenig is a almost unnaturally patient dragon. He's still very, very smart, but I don't think he could have done this himself. However, perhaps some of his subjects or something like that could have. It's the only explanation I have. Beyond that, I'm not sure. I mean, the only other group that I can think of, well, it's a group that's always been jealous of us, I suppose, is the Buguri Raiders.
They wouldn't have anybody smart enough or powerful enough to do that, would they?
Not likely, no. No.
Unless they teamed up with someone.
That's my thought. However, the only person, or the only creature here, other than our paladins and our riders, who would even know that the queen had 2 eggs, would potentially be Koenig. It's the only thing I can think.
Well, there's also the Solsiri that have been going around causing havoc all over the place.
Yeah, we did
Indoors.
kill 3 of them
I'm
over
not
at the.
familiar with these Solsiri. What
They
are
look like her, and I point to Zuzia.
What? Salt Siri?
No, the
No.
Solsiri was
Oh.
the blue lady.
Oh, sorry. I thought my bad.
Solsiri are
Just
like,
throwing Zuzia under the bus.
The
Wow.
12 lords.
I've just been
Solsiri are
wondering
like
something.
Sure.
Should I have taken, or can I take a short rest also to?
Yeah.
And is that how you use the hit dice? Is that how that
Yeah,
works?
just
You
click
use
on
as
it.
many as you need.
Okay, I was just
Just
making
click
sure.
on
I
it.
just wanted to ask before I
Yeah, just click on it and then add that number to your hit points. You can use as
Yeah.
many hit dice as you have,
Right.
And but you won't recover them until you take a long rest, and then you recover
Okay.
half of the of your total
Okay.
at that point.
Thank you.
Yep,
Yes,
no problem.
the Solsiri, there's 7 lords, and they're very malevolent.
Oh, yeah. That was actually the other direction I was thinking, was either the snake
They-
people or them.
And they grouped up with bands of orcs before and to use them towards their purpose.
We know the titles of 7 of them and the names of 2? The
Yeah.
leader, the lovers, the
Typhang
architect,
and Solanum.
the hunter, the scholar, the behemoth, the spellweaver.
Never heard of these necessarily.
Well, there was a large army of orcs that sailed away from an island far west of here some time ago, several weeks, and who knows where they ended up.
Well, I can tell you that whatever this is, it does not stink of orc.
Too smart. And I look
How
at
far
Taz
away
like,
Dragon
You
from
don't
here.
know I'm orc.
no, I'm saying because orcs are dumb.
Yeah.
Kind of like an inside joke. I don't know that you're half orc. I'm just saying because you hate
Yeah.
orcs, and I said orcs are dumb.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No. It's but like Taz like thinking so much farther away from all this. Like he's considering like who could be leading it. Like what's all like he's in tactical mode.
Regardless, we can't go to check. However, you potentially could. It's not something I'd ask of anyone lightly, though.
Well, I think that's a potentially good theory. It seems very solid. I mean, I believe it. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean it's not too far fetched. A white would do something like that, even if like maybe not by thinking it up by themselves. But Koenig does seem like he's been pretty fucking old. He might have picked up some wiles.
He's smarter than he lets on, yes.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to get involved with an ancient white dragon.
Oh, come on, it'd be fun.
Here's
I
my
mean, I'm
opinion
good
on
for
that,
a
Brandick.
fight, but that's just suicidal.
Here's my opinion. If they want to have their usual sort of Cold War, no pun intended, up here, that doesn't bother me. They can do that. But if this is someone else trying to get wyverns, because I'm thinking, why would you need wyvern queens? Either for power or to make more wyverns. And I
Or
really
do it
don't
for-
want a giant army making their own wyverns.
And it could be a twofer. Start a
You wouldn't
war
be
in the
able to
north
breed
and
'em
split up their
overnight.
forces.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely couldn't breed them overnight, so
No,
it takes some
It's a
time.
long game.
Yeah, agreed. This could potentially be a solid threat. Well, I have an idea. What about we take some time to prepare ourselves, get whatever we need, and we maybe get a lift over to like the border of where you guys are allowed to be, and just drop us off, and we'll go delegate for you and see if there's possibly any signs of this guy being involved.
Honestly, if we can find out if Koenig has either the egg or the young queen, then the contract is broken, and we can fly in and help. However, if he doesn't,
How do we let you know before we die? If we actually do meet Koenig in person.
do you have any sending stones?
That's what I was thinking. How far away is Koenig from here?
Koenig is, well, by foot, assuming good weather, very good weather, and the summertime, it's about a 7-day march. However, we could fly you to the edge of the glaciers. At that point, it's about 3 days to get in.
Okay. Do you have any means of communication that we could take with us to give you an immediate response once we find out?
I don't, but perhaps someone around here will.
Okay. Do you have it like us or like somebody in here?
I'll speak to Orlan.
Okay.
She may have some ideas. She's
What was that name again? Oralon? How do you spell that?
Auralon. Auralon.
Oralon.
All right. Well,
Mhm.
I believe if it's at all possible, could you spare some beds? Some of us require some rest.
That I can do. However, for the moment, um, you may have to, considering the number of you,
That's okay. I'll sleep over here
may
by the
have to
fire.
go with some barracks type arrangement, as we don't really have enough personal rooms.
I'm fine with sleeping on the floor.
That works too. Just stay out of the way for everyone else. What we do know is that our wyverns should be here in a few days. They're much faster than most, but it will still take a few days to get here. However, we do still have enough that we could likely, if we're smart about it, and if we don't give Koenig any forewarning, we could potentially sweep into his lair and take back the queen.
Well, there's easily 2,000 Wyvern Riders on their way here as we speak.
Closer to 2,500, yes.
Yes. So, and you said you had scouts out. How many scouts did you have out?
47 currently. Most organized into groups of 3.
So 5 of us are to march in and sneak into this lair that is guarded by all these creatures, and then
It's-
ask.
Well, maybe
No.
6. If Lucian, you feel like coming along to a little field trip?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
6 go knocking on the door.
Here's what we do know, and this is from old records, as we haven't necessarily been there for a very long time. However, Koenig resides inside of the old dwarven city of Delveram. It's ruins now, covered mostly in ice. However, he is, last we heard, taken up residence, so to speak, underneath what used to be the palace there. It's a central building, and as it's ruins, it should make for much easier sneaking, I suppose. The glacial fields are really the problem, as far as I can tell. Regardless, we don't really know too much, as we don't fly over. We can't. And it's been some time. I'll speak with Oralon and see if I can't find something, should you choose to, I suppose, take the job. But know that you don't necessarily need to attack him. If you can just find out, that should be enough, hopefully.
But are they going to kill anything that they see first, is my question. How
Should they see
Probably.
you?
strictly are they guarding this?
Well, the city itself isn't that heavily guarded. The glaciers themselves are almost the guard for the city. The frostworms normally take care of anything that gets too close. And that will be your first challenge, should you decide to go. Frostworms aren't anything to, well, they're dangerous. Let's say that. For the moment, well, time is of the essence, so confer amongst yourselves if you need to. I'm away to see if I can't speak with Oralon, see if she's awake. I'll leave you to yourselves for the moment. And he steps up, Says, "Thank you for even considering it, though." And then leaves the room.
I really don't want to make an enemy out of an ancient white dragon.
I mean, I don't want to fight an ancient dragon. I fight a lot of things, but not an ancient dragon.
The gears are turning in Nyx's head. She's just like blank staring right now, just fucking furiously thinking.
I don't like doing this unnecessarily, but I want to make sure someone else doesn't have it. I wish there was a way we could check in that chamber if there was some teleport, or I've read about plane shift magics before. So I want to know how that egg disappeared.
I mean, Nyx did that a lot with the dimension dooring when I first met you guys in Praven.
Well, passing through other planes of existence is a lot different than just like blooping one place to another. It's a completely different realm.
Guys, if you allow me time to rest, I can find the egg instantly, potentially,
Okay.
or the young queen. I can try to scry on it.
Do you need something to be able to do that?
A really good description, maybe some sort of possession of something, or a part of the being or egg.
What about
a really
part
good
of the
description would work.
shell? What about part of the shell that it bust out of?
Could work, yeah, if that was kept. But the problem is it costs a lot in resources.
Do you have those resources?
No. We spent all of our gold on the resources for the other big thing that I have prepared.
In case one of us dies.
Right. I need
much
a
does it take?
focus. That's going to cost about 1,000 gold.
Ooh,
Oh.
we don't need that.
But if it's to help these guys, maybe they could pay the cost to help.
Yeah, not like they get a lot of
We
druids.
have 300 in the bag.
Right, but I'm saying maybe the Wyvern Guards or whatever whoever these people are, they'll pay for the focus for me, so I can try this. If they haven't tried it already.
What is it? What's this thing you want to try?
Scrying.
Oh.
As long as they're on the same plane of existence, I can see them.
And if they're not behind like some sort of veil or whatever?
I mean, it doesn't say that, but I mean that's up to DM stuff, I guess. Like if there's countermeasures put in place by the enemy.
I mean, if I stole a dragon, I wouldn't want anybody to
it's
find it.
It's a possibility that there are. Sure.
So it's a shot, but I'm saying if we get them to pay for the cost, it's at least worth the shot. That way we're not losing all of our money, but we at least have a better idea if it's even there. Because if we go in there blind, not even know it's there, and we make an enemy of an ancient white dragon.
Yep, that's where I'm with you.
So, do we want to wait for him to come back and speak to him about if they can fund this?
Well, we're not rushing out the door right now either way. Even if we go tonight, which we're not doing, we'd probably go in the morning. If we go, they're going to fly us over part of the way.
We could potentially be under a, neutral situation, saying that, these guys asked us to go talk to this dragon on their behalf, trying to respect the treaty. She air quotes that. And yeah, we can decide for ourselves whether or not we believe that this dragon has even done it, because we really don't know. This is all the theory.
But what if he decides to just kill us right then and there? If he is guilty, he doesn't want us getting word back.
I don't know. Treaty.
I mean, no disrespect to the Wyvern Queen back there that we just met, but an ancient dragon, especially a white dragon, which are especially vicious. It makes that Wyvern Queen look like a fucking sparrow in comparison. You don't want to I would rather not meet a white ancient dragon.
I am willing to go after the wyverns if this is our fight. If it's the group we fought before, or if it's the snakes, that's our fight. I'm fine with fighting that. If it's a war that's been going on for 300 years, that's not our fight.
There's not enough money. We are just not. We're not strong enough to fight something like that.
They have 2,500 people coming up here. We would be a drop in the bucket that would not make that big of a difference in a war. But we can fight off and get back a wyvern if it's some other group. So I want to see what the scry spell brings up, if anything, and then we can decide from there tomorrow morning.
If we
they're
went
even
all the
willing
way
to
here-
offer up the focus that I need.
Okay, so at this point, Uthal actually walks back in with a very small, half-elven woman, fair hair, one with the left side of her cheek and kind of over her eye, very heavily bandaged. And she sort of walks in, kind of trying to get a look at all of you. Looks incredibly tired right now. She looks at each of you, and Uthal says, "This is Orlon. She does have some ways that she can be of help. Or at least she says she does."
Wow, you look like shit. May I? And I just kind of stretch my hand out.
She sort of looks to you and says, "I appreciate it, but no, it's okay."
Well, we've come up with a thought. I have the ability to scry on people. I'm not sure if you're aware of this spell or ability.
She sort of nods and says, "I am. Normally I can do it too. Unfortunately, my mind cannot be quieted at the moment."
Well, the unfortunate part for us is we don't have the item that I need to do it. If you would be willing to give us the item and the attempts for us to find the young queen and egg, we could try it.
This is something I could do, yes. I'll let you borrow my focus.
I won't be able to do it until the morning, though. I'm rather tired.
Understood. So am I. However, should you choose to go, I could create a scroll of sending, allowing you to notify, well, any one of us of your choice, what you find.
Okay.
Well, that'll be good if shit hits the fan. If we do run into trouble in Koenig's territory or whatever that happens, how fast would you be able to get to us?
If you just run into trouble, we may not come. If you find the egg or the young queen, we can be there in, well, knowing the rest of the riders, a matter of hours, if not minutes. We'd likely have several posted up at the outskirts.
Do you happen to have maybe a part of the egg shell that the young queen hatched from, or maybe a scale that she shed to help me with my scrying in the morning?
I may have yet one of the eggshells or pieces of it. She's not old enough to start molting or shedding scales. So unfortunately, I don't have anything like that.
Oh no, the egg, the piece of shell will help
Sure.
tremendously.
I'll have them prepared for you in the morning.
I thank you.
If you do this, that would be great.
I assume, I don't know how that spell works. I assume that would find the queen, not the egg that's here, right?
Right.
So,
It-
with the scrying spell, right?
I can link it if you want.
Well, no, I've got it right here, obviously, but basically, you know, you kind of choose your target, for lack of a better way to put it. The eggshell would help you find the young queen, where if you have a secondhand knowledge of eggs, being able to look at them and then have a piece of one of them, but it's not that egg. So that would be slightly different,
Right.
Or you could
But-
try to scry on Koenig, which is also another choice.
Right. But that'd be a lot harder.
Potentially. You don't know.
Whereas the piece of the egg being a part of basically the young queen would help a lot more than anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, what time is it?
It's probably about mid-afternoon at this point. You kind of did all this stuff in the morning and have kind of been hanging out.
Well, maybe we want to do some more research and get some more information about the ruins and that, get better descriptions, so when I do decide to scry in the morning, I'll have a better idea of what I'm looking for and what I'm looking at.
We can do that, or at least I can try. And at that point, actually, the two other riders from earlier sort of enter in to the chamber, go over, grab the giant fucking teapot, and start pouring themselves a couple of hot drinks.
Oh, speaking of that, is it common for the ice rocks to attack this close to the weir?
Honestly, no. They must be very hungry. It's very odd, honestly. I don't really know exactly what's going on with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to sit with anybody that can give me more information throughout the day.
Okay. Yeah, so over the course of the day, a couple of scouts come in periodically, sort of just, relaying, mostly if they haven't really found anything. Asking, though, you get sort of a general layout of the city, with the palace sort of in the center, and a large, it's built into the side of a mountain. The palace and the city, with a large frozen lake in the center, of what was once a lake that went down into a stream. The whole area has been frozen over, most likely due to Koenig himself. He has that effect on things. In the meantime, you get sort of a general description of the area, an idea of what a young sort of baby wyvern queen would look like, things like that for the most part.
Were there any drawings of her or anything that they had?
Yeah, Orlin sort of tries to draw out as best she can what she'd look like. The other two scouts that helped you earlier, Radlin and Fullian, both sort of draw out sort of like a pencil map of the city. Not really great, as they could really only get to the side of the glacial fields, but sort of just a really general thing from memory, and then eventually Uthal sort of finds an old map of the city and puts that there, from when it was back when it was not frozen over in ruins. So you kind of get a really general idea of the stuff.
I will ask Orlon or any of them. If the young queen had any very distinct markings, like in her picture.
Any more details you could use for a scrying spell?
Yeah. She'd look at you and say, honestly, no. They tend to gain those markings at, well, the bonding ceremony, but she's not old enough for that yet.
Right.
Although time is coming up soon.
Oh.
Oh, fuck. That's what they're trying to do.
Ah.
Maybe. Well,
It's only a few weeks away.
I mean, that would make sense. I mean, first of all, they would need to know that there is a queen wormling and there's also a new queen egg. And if they knew that, they probably knew about the bonding rituals for dragon riders. Or wyvern riders, excuse me.
Aye, potentially. It's not necessarily a secret. It's not something we can really keep secret. Especially not when either the rider or the wyvern themselves dies and the other individual goes crazy for some time.
well,
Well, did you sense anything from the queen when all this was going down? Like, is there any of the details you can give us besides suddenly the egg and the worm, or the daughter
It
is
all
gone?
happened so fast. Honestly, she woke up and the egg was gone. I am of the belief that it happened within an hour of her initially waking up, as she is a, shall we say, light sleeper. However, it was right after laying the second egg, and that tends to wear one out. So, it was
Yep.
expertly timed.
They would have needed to know, or be very lucky. Who would know?
Well, any of the riders here would have known. It's been the talk of pretty much the entire area. Any of even the riders outside of here, we keep in regular contact normally. And, well, the pain of laying an egg is very visceral to every rider. See, each rider is connected to their wyvern on a emotional level. It's not quite words or anything, but you can tell how they're feeling and get a gist of what's going on most of the time. But every wyvern is connected to their queen, the one who birthed them. So when the queen is angry, truly angry, they all know. If the queen is in pain, they all know. It's also how they know when it's time for a mating flight, and how they know when the queen is, well, likely to die.
Do wyverns adopt the, let's say, morals of their bonded person?
Or the
There's
other way
certainly
around?
some kind of effect between the two. It's almost like a meet in the middle sort of situation. The bond changes both individuals, making them closer to one. Still two distinct personalities, yes.
what are the wyverns' natural alignment, so to speak?
Silver wyverns are different. They are a gift from Bahamut. As such, they tend towards good, I suppose. However, being wyverns, they tend to have a bit of chaos in them, unlike Bahamut himself.
Well, this is all very useful information. I'm gonna need to rest.
Very well. I'll prepare everything, what I can for you for tomorrow. Speaking of which, I wouldn't mind going back and resting a bit myself after checking up.
You sure you don't want any healing? I can heal you.
This is not something I should heal from. It takes time, and it will heal in time. It's another memory of my time with Daita. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'll just kind of
Okay.
pat Bramnick on the shoulder and it's like, I guess it's kind of like a mark of honor or like a badge.
Sure.
She sort of, calmly but still very tired, sort of steps out and
Thank
starts
you for your
walking down.
time.
She sort of smiles back at you, but continues walking.
I know I just spent like an hour by myself, but I kind of need some more alone time, guys.
What?
Okay.
Can you, Bramnick, for my sanity, could you please say
Just
that again
clean up.
in better words?
No. But I'm not gonna be burning any more of that awesome incense, so don't worry about that.
Clean up after yourself. Use a sock or something.
Right.
Birdie, is that you? Where are you, man?
I'm gonna point at Lucian. You know, you remind me of someone.
Right?
Oh.
Nah, that's probably just my imagination. And I'll just like find a clear space that's kind of out of the way next to the fireplace, and pass the fuck out with my bedding.
Okay.
Before we all go our separate ways, I'm gonna walk up to Nyx and say, so Fly came in pretty handy that time as well. Would you mind if you can spare it before your long rest or before we sleep? Would you be able to put Fly into the Iron Stone again?
Yeah, no problem. She'll
Thank you.
do it.
Warlocks and short rests are
That was
pretty great.
With-
actually.
pretty awesome, though,
without
right?
A fight? She did that without.
we made an
any
agreement.
argument.
We
Yeah,
made
but
an agreement
even
about
with
it. You
the
don't know about
agreement
it.
last time, she was like, "Yeah, fuck you. You're gonna pay me."
Whatever. Yeah, but then Nyx got to fucking watch me plow a goddamn rock into the ground.
That was
No,
pretty
no,
awesome to
dude,
watch.
she's expecting flight lessons soon.
I already gave you those,
Yeah,
like on the
exactly.
on
Like
the way
it's-
over.
What?
Yeah.
I gave you those when we flew to Kyo Karate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on
Oh,
the
so
second leg
do
of
I
the
have like
journey.
a proficiency at
Yeah,
flying now?
Efficiency, yes.
Oh, well, I don't know where the fuck that goes.
Okay.
Just put it in
it's in
tools.
your
Proficiencies
tool
in your
proficiencies.
tools.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have
that's
to
what
manually
mine
enter it
is.
in.
Mhm.
Yeah, the way to do it is add it there, and then I'll say, make a check with whatever, and then just go in there and change whatever attribute I say, and then roll it. But typically
Alright.
it's going to be dexterity, I believe.
Mine's set to intelligence.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, intelligence or dexterity are usually.
Yeah, I
the
think
two.
dexterity was for like hanging on to the thing.
Yeah, I use dexterity. Nyx would probably use intelligence.
Yeah, because yours is crew, basically.
Well, it depends on what the check is. If
Yeah.
it's like knowing where you need to do this or that, then it's intelligence. If it's, like how well you're going to handle the thing and how, like if you're threading a needle with it, that's going to be dexterity to make sure
Right.
that it's dead on or whatever. But that's a fluid thing. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
I'm gonna find a secluded room,
Okay.
and I'm gonna sit down with Sylvain,
Okay.
and I'm gonna ask her.
Pressures.
Yeah, just petting it like. Hey, Sylvain, are you there?
Yes. What?
Hey, what's your goal? What do you want out of this relationship? Out of this friendship? Out of this,
Well. Sorry, Rella was talking to me. Well, hopefully, eventually, a new protector of the forest. But you're a long way from that.
Right. What about knowledge? Do you enjoy storing the knowledge of these creatures and the lore?
It's what I do. I don't really know much else. But I suppose yes.
Do you know anything about frostworms?
Well, very little.
Maybe any weaknesses
They.
or strengths that they have?
I'm gonna have her roll off of your stats. Make me a nature check
Okay.
with disadvantage.
With disadvantage.
Yeah, this is not a normal thing, and it's
Damn it.
okay. What I don't know much of them, admittedly. They're not your typical natural, but I know they encase themselves in ice and are pretty well armored, relatively solid. Perhaps I've known that I've known that with many ice or well, things of that type of nature, stone and ice, etc. Breaking that can do some things, but I don't really know if that would work or be effective in this case. It's not something I've really run into in my time.
And you know the ice rock we just encountered. I know you've got more
Yes.
information on it. What more can you tell me about them now that we've fought them and you've tasted their blood?
They seem to be pack hunters. They also typically seem to pick out prey that they feel are, well, most opportune, carry them up into the sky and drop them. And then, well, eat whatever's left.
Can you tell me about their weaknesses?
I'm not sure that they have much. Keeping one down on the ground is usually the best choice, as they are very, very fast and can get away from a fight or re-enter it very, very quickly.
I've got one more question for you, if you don't mind, Sylvain.
Sure.
What was the name of your last owner?
I don't think you're quite ready for that yet.
Well, when you think I'm ready, would you tell me?
In due time, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Put her back on my whip or
Alright.
my hip.
Alright. Meanwhile, everybody else, what do you want to do?
I am dead asleep.
Fair enough.
Do
Yes.
my trance thing.
Okay.
Sleep. Whatever you
Sleep.
call it.
Zuzia hasn't really cared about much of any of what's been going on.
Fair enough.
It's cold and it sucks.
I'm propped up against the cave wall, watching the fire and sharpening my weapons. And then
Okay.
just wrap myself in my giant fucking fur cloak or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. It's
Then
two of them
sleep.
sewn together so it can actually wrap around your fucking shoulders.
Yeah.
Krellian managed to get away with like a full like ginormous cloak of his own, but it doesn't have to be sewn together.
Mhm.
Yeah, but just barely.
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause I'm like a foot and a half shorter than you are.
Yeah, that helps.
Probably a lot less wide as well.
I don't know. He's pretty broad.
I'm pretty broad.
Yeah, but
He's just
thankfully,
stubby.
yeah, thankfully, I mean, you're still typical,
I look
relatively
wider.
typical humanoid size.
Yeah,
But
I'm wider than I
But
should be
not-
for my height, so it looks a little weird. but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like
There
Danny
might be a
DeVito.
little gap.
Kind
between
of.
you gotta hold
Like
on
if Danny
as well.
DeVito was a fucking Greek god.
Dragonborn.
If Danny DeVito was still a Greek god, but was muscles instead of what he actually is.
Fair enough. All right.
Sleepy
So
time.
come the morning.
Put all my spells back.
Yeah. So you guys all get long rest.
Half your expended hit die.
Half your total hit die
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So at this point, that would be 4 hit die back. If that gets you to max, then cool. If not, whatever. You wake up feeling mostly refreshed. If still a bit cold, but that sort of seems to be par for the course here.
Immediately looking for Claw. I'm sure they
Yep,
got a kettle going.
They've got a big kettle on, or a big sort of like giant teapot. Actually, a couple of them just sitting in the fire, being kept warm. There are several riders who've come and gone throughout the night. I'd assume that Lucian would notice that as they sort of come and go for the most part. But it seems like everyone's on edge, but nobody's loud or anything like that. It's more just confusion and that whole hurry up and wait sort of mentality. That nobody really knows exactly what to do or where to go, etc. So they're just doing what they can. But the morning comes. Orlin is actually already is sort of sitting down, drinking some claw herself as you guys get out into the area. Some of you probably slept in what looks like a large barracks room with not the softest beds, but beds.
I mean, we got a ton of down.
Yeah, you do. We have no way to hold on to all of it at the moment. But yeah. So as you guys enter into the chamber, Orlin's already there, drinking some tea, having a small breakfast. You can hear Uthal sort of shouting orders to a few wyvern riders in the adjoining chamber. His voice kind of carries. But yeah.
While we're, I guess, quote unquote, eating breakfast and drinking stuff, I'm just gonna study over the drawings that were given to me a bit more, just to kind of keep that fresh in my mind for whenever Orlin's ready to take me to her focus, so I can get started.
Actually, as you sit down or whatever, Orlin actually pulls out a small box, wooden box, and pushes it across the table to you.
Thank you. I'll slide it in front of me and open it.
It's a small orb, a glass orb with a metal band with arcane runes around it. You would recognize this as essentially a scrying eye. It is a focus for scrying.
Nice.
Very pretty.
I'd very much love to own one of these myself someday.
Well, not easy to come by, but if you know where to look, you can find one. Luthadel usually has a few somewhere.
Huh. I'll keep that in mind. Well, after breakfast, shall we do this?
Sure. I'll make sure no one else disturbs us. Anyone else that wants to hang out, I guess, feel free.
Would I be able to potentially help some way?
Do you have the scry spell?
No, I do not.
Okay. Let me see.
I mean, I'm just gonna link it.
I'm wondering
quick,
if you
just
can
so
take
it's-
someone along with you. That's the thing.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, maybe if it was an actual like scrying eye,
Yeah.
potentially, but
Let me see here. Let me double check, cause I want to make sure.
just from
Yeah.
the modifiers that I'm looking at, it looks like I'd probably get a pretty good chance
Yeah.
at finding what I'm looking for.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay. For this, I am gonna grab my own D20, cause yeah, we'll see. All right.
Just cheats.
No, because if I click the button right in Roll20, it shows the name of whatever it is
Ah.
around, and
You
that's
can
kind of
do it to
unfair and
yourself,
throw
though,
stuff
can't you?
off. What's
Can't you?
that?
Can't you like PM roll yourself?
Yeah, but I can just roll a d20 and add the modifier too, so it's not really a big deal.
You can also fudge the die.
Yeah, I don't really do that.
I know.
So
Wow, how dare you?
yeah, if there's something I want to happen, I just make it happen. I don't bother with a fucking die roll. That's the more, I don't know.
Are we considering the eggshell like the -10, or
No,
is that the -4?
it's the possession or garment. It's
Okay.
not actually a body part.
And then do I also gain the -2 from the picture?
Yeah, I'd say you could probably manage that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. However, it's going to be a second hand. You've heard of the target.
So you get a +1 to DC.
Yeah.
Oh, you have like
Well,
any
they get a
likenesses?
-1 to the save.
Yeah.
If they don't want to be scryed on. If
Yeah.
the young queen wants me to scry
It's
on
going to
her,
be interesting. It's going to be
different.
really fucking weird. So.
Oh, can I take the seal that I have, like showing like that I'm part of like the crew sent from the Bahamut Keepers or whatever, like just maybe in case somehow she can see me as well, she'll be like, oh hey, that's a person that I would trust.
Okay. You can try. We'll see how it goes.
Actually,
Yeah.
can I be awake and try to help him with this?
There's no help. Like,
how are you gonna help him?
I want to bless him.
Bless doesn't do that.
It's saving throws.
Yeah,
it's
but
their saving
it's
throw,
their
not my
saving
saving
throw.
throw.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Okay. So.
Never mind then. I'm still dead.
So it's based off of your save, right? Your spell save.
Well, must make a wisdom saving throw, which is modified by how well you know the target.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's your spell save. So what's that?
16.
So it would be. So I'm basically just gonna turn that into a.
So it'd be a 17. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I got all this squared away. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Interesting. All right, so.
And if you want to pull me to another room or something, I don't know.
No.
PM?
Here's what happens. This is
Shit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm dead.
No. You're not gonna die from a scrying spell necessarily, unless you're so oblivious to like the lava under your feet while scrying. That might be a different story.
Unfortunately, you clicked on the wrong link and got sucked into a tornado.
Yeah.
I love that term now. Okay. So
Now it's an old term, like the early 2000s.
That's probably why
Jeez.
I've never heard of it.
Fucking
Okay.
younglings.
Right. Anyway, so Bramnik, As you begin to concentrate on this spell, the world around you sort of disappears as your focus goes into this orb. Slowly, the picture sort of comes around you as your spirit basically leaves your body, almost being projected through the orb. The rest of you notice that Brandmix's, breathing slows down almost to, 2 breaths a minute, maybe. Your spirit sort of, or rather your vision, exits the cave, flies up high into the sky. You can see what are flocks of 5 or 6 of those ice rocks flying in groups, hunting across the wastes. Your eyes, or your vision is pulled towards this city across these glaciers. However, it's not pulled exactly where you think it is. In fact, it's pulled above the city, sort of just past it, just to the side. As you come closer and closer in, you don't see anything across the glaciers themselves as your vision is pulled closer until you get your eyes are pulled through the glaciers into a cavern. You see there, as you get closer and closer, a cage covered in black cloth. And as your sense is pulled inside of it, you see a glint of silver as the cloth moves and a little bit of light shines in. And you hear something. You hear talking, speaking, in what appears to be common. 2 voices. At least at first. The first saying, "Well, I did what you asked. Here. Now, do we have a deal?" A female voice. You don't recognize it necessarily, although it seems oddly familiar. You can't see who it is. Followed by a soft male voice. This one you recognize. "Yes, of course. You'll have your egg and I'll have the queen, and they'll start a war." For a second there, the voice stops almost mid-sentence. Slowly the cloth is pulled back. As it is, you can see one form, one individual, dressed in all black, blue skin, a familiar genasi. The other, dressed in gray robes with a hood and a very familiar smile. And he looks at you and says, "I suppose it's time to deal out round 2. And with that, your consciousness is ripped back, actually thrown. I need you to roll me 3d6 as he pushes his hand out at you and throws you back into
Oh my god. Right. 3d6.
3d6.
Oops. 3.
Just roll 2d6 now.
It's fine.
Oops.
I can just
yeah,
multiply that by 3.
I clicked the button wrong, but
Okay, well, whatever. So you take
7.
7 psychic damage as he has thrown you back into your own body. You recognized him at that last moment as
The dealer.
yes.
Motherfucker.
I thought we killed him at the fucking
I thought we
place.
banished him into the fucking fire plane.
Well, we
We
didn't
didn't banish him anywhere. His like seed crystal fell into the pit with the or the portal, whatever,
And
which
it's
went
been a little
somewhere.
while since
Yeah,
that happened, and you guys didn't go after it.
yeah.
Fuck me. Fuck.
We didn't have a way of
This-
getting. I mean, we're not there anyways. Whatever.
Yeah, no.
No, you guys are
This-
probably standing around while he does this, but you didn't see what he saw.
Yeah, we just heard him say the dealer.
How the fuck did he get back? I mean, all right, you know what? He's a wizardy type, isn't he? So he
I'm
probably
gonna
like,
stand in front of Cerulean. I'm gonna grab him by the sides of his face, and I'm gonna say magic.
Just,
Wait. Who's
Orlan.
this dealer?
Orlan, it wasn't Koenig.
it's a member of the Solsiri.
It was who I feared in the beginning, the Solsiri. It's the dealer. And Nyx. Are you there? Not Nyx as in she's in on it. Nyx, come here please.
I didn't fucking do it.
Liar.
I know.
I just been
Who is
burning
this
down
girl
taverns.
that you had me searching for back in Praven?
Some bitch.
What's her name?
Her name's Alana.
Alana. Well,
Yeah.
her and the dealer are working together. They have the egg and the queen. They're near the city, but not in it. Past the glaciers in a cavern.
Wait,
The dealer said something about dealing out round 2.
Well, we gotta kill him for good this time, then, don't we?
The problem
See,
is,
round
if-
2.
if any of the Wyvern Riders go to retrieve the egg, it's gonna start a war. That's exactly what they want. They wanna start a war.
So this has nothing to do with the dragon?
You don't
Not yet.
necessarily know.
We don't know. All I know is
They've
they
all-
want to start a war.
You only just saw those. Okay. Well,
But if he said the words round 2, logically speaking, round 1 was getting this group to suspect the dragon, and so round 2 would be getting the dragon to suspect this group, and thus war. If you mentioned that, I think.
or summoning an army.
They want to start a war. They want.
What?
I don't know why, but that's what they want.
Why summon it when you have 2 waiting?
Good point.
Can I look at the map that they gave me and maybe try to discern where this cave was in relation to the city?
Sure. So I don't have a direct map, but I'm gonna just quickly kind of draw one out for you.
Mm.
Right. Here's sort of like the palace, right? No, that's not the right button. Hold on. Let me get rid of this.
Okay, so Koenig's area was south of the Weir.
No, it's actually north and east.
Northeast of. Okay.
This isn't exactly to scale, but fuck it. Alright. So, this here's the lake, right?
Mm.
The palace is this huge place, sort of jutting out, with plenty of buildings and things like that around. In context, you saw them kind of right about here.
So kind of northeast of the lake, almost directly east of the city.
But pretty much like they're within what you would call the city limits in a way.
Okay.
So they're somewhere over there.
I'll circle the rough area where I think they're at. and just be like, this is where they're at for now. They're probably on the move. I think he knew that I was there because he forced me out of my spell.
Is there any means of communication with them?
With Koenig?
With Koenig and all them, like between your two groups, to like get summits or something.
Not really. I suppose the closest we could do of. No, not really.
Couldn't you use this scroll that you gave us to send him a message?
Potentially, yes. But it's not really been in our interest to do that very often, if ever. But yes, potentially we could use a sending spell, I suppose.
I mean, it would probably be best to warn him, as my friend was probably implying, to say, hey, there's someone trying to start a war and we need to come get our stuff back.
Brandon, could you see both the hatched queen and the egg?
I only saw the hatched queen.
Shit, all right.
No egg.
Well, one of them mentioned, I don't know if you would have said this or not, one of them mentioned you get one, I get the other, right? Basically.
Yeah, I'll have mentioned everything that I heard.
Okay.
Okay, all right. A lot is clearly fucking involved. All right. I used to work with her for a while. She's kind of a fucking complete bitch.
I mean, you told us that much before.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I mean work, like, did some shady shit, and she's like really good at doing a lot of fucking dodgy stuff. I mean, last I knew, she was in a max prison, like maximum security prison, like the best, from what I hear, or something. And how she's out of there in the first place boggles my mind. But yeah, I kind of want to murder her.
I'm fine with that. The problem is, if the dealer is back, Solenum's probably back as well.
Yeah.
Which means they probably have a giant orc army waiting in wait somewhere.
How far away is this spot that was pointed out?
It's what, a week by foot? 3 to 4 days?
3 days if you get the transport up there.
Do we have is there like, I know like we don't see one right now, but like is there like a map of the area like where Bramnick had pointed out where they were and stuff?
The rough map that they drew me.
Okay, so like if we were to draw a line from like the center of the city outwards or whatever towards the direction they're at, like what would be towards that general direction? Is there anything that's known over there?
Okay, so like I'm just gonna do this as like a mini thing. The center of that is about where, or sorry, right about there. So that's about where the city is, right? Surrounding the city itself is a huge glacier that has sort of rolled over the city for the most part. So the closest thing is that glacier. It surrounds the city itself. But the city itself is actually built into a mountain.
Ah, that explains it.
Right. And yeah, so like let's do that. All right. Like straight in that way, right? That leads into the mountain. And the mountain sort of like wraps around a little bit.
So they're heading for the mountains, maybe.
Well, they're in the mountain at the moment.
You saw ice around them, but they seem to be From what you could tell, you could see tracks behind them. So they're definitely headed towards the mountain itself.
Okay. So yes, you're right.
Or at least one of them was, at a minimum. You're not really sure at this point.
I still feel Orelin, what was her name again?
Orlon?
Orlon? That word needs to be sent to Koenig and the prince.
Does our sending stone back to Saria still work?
Yeah, it should.
We should probably tell her that the fucker's back. Because he was also responsible for all that bullshit up in the Three Sisters.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Orlon sort of looks at you and says, "There's a downside, though. They've had time, several hundred years, to build up their army as well. I'm not entirely sure he'd be against having a war. We don't know what the situation is right now between Koenig, Kryax, or anyone. The problem is, if they're ready for a war, then this could be a three-way partnership."
Well,
We could always appeal to
I
his
know-
twisted sense of pride. If we can't
I
count on
know-
if we can't count on him to do the right thing, we can count on him to do the thing that appeals to him the most. Appeals to his pride.
I don't know how many troops you have that would be ready for war, but I know that the Draken Ascendancy has a very large dislike for the group that's partly involved, this Osiri. And I'm sure they'd probably be willing to help.
It would take them too long to get here.
Yeah, it'd take him like 2 weeks.
Well,
Yeah,
we
but
can fly out over the course of a day, a few hours, whatever it would be, to the edge, the border. Then it will take us 3 days to hike in, and then by that time, the 2,500 will probably be up here, so we can send to you guys if we do have some issues. We know at least one of them is there now. We just don't know if they're in cahoots. If we find that out, we can let you know.
here's my thought. It would take us a few hours to fly our wyverns from here to there. Actually, probably the better part of a day. However, we can station wyverns ready should something happen. I have a request, and this is not an easy one to ask, and I will give you plenty of time to think about it. However, my proposal is as follows. Our wyvern riders are best in the skies. It's what we do. We're not trained so much for ground combat. But we know of Koenig's forces. We know what they are. And in only a few days' time, we'll have enough to mount an assault should we need to. But that doesn't get us inside. So, if you can track this thing, Koenig, or this dealer you speak of, if we can figure out where the egg is, if we can figure out where the young one is, if you can sneak in, I think we can draw him out, along with most of his forces. Keep him preoccupied if you can get the egg out.
Yeah, but doing that, you're going to start a war anyways, so just retrieving the things are not going to...
At this point, if our wyvern is already within essentially the city, as you say, that is where several of the underground tunnels do lead in that city.
Underground
He's already
tunnels.
started a war.
Well, guys, are we ready to go to war?
Underground tunnels leading to where?
Sure.
I mean, I know this
Let's
is.
go to war.
It was a
I kn-
dwarven city. It was renowned for its gems, for its mining operation. It was a hardy town. Actually, Uthel knows plenty about it. His family was originally from there. That being said, we can, I think we can draw them out, like I said. The problem is we can't necessarily get in. That being said, if you can go and then give us the signal to attack, we can distract them long enough, most likely, for you, if you could, to sneak in and get whatever you can out once you have an idea of where it is, perhaps.
Logistical question.
Sure.
How do you guys move around dragon eggs other than the Wyvern Queen?
What do you mean?
Well, if we go in there, we're gonna have to get them out. Can we carry them? I don't know exactly. I know roughly how large they are. I don't know how
It's
heavy they
only
are.
one egg, and the
It's about
hatched.
And a Wyvern
five-
baby, yeah.
Yeah, it's about like, I would say it's like 3 by 3. It's kind of heavy, but it's not too bad. But well, the shells themselves are very, very tough.
Okay.
That being said, they don't require oxygen, so many times we've not really run into a situation like this, honestly. But I've heard tales of some individuals stealing eggs from other wyvern types. They submerge them in water, or float them out. They are buoyant.
Put it in a bag of holding.
It's too big for that. It won't fit.
Some have done that, and have had some success.
Okay, we'll figure it out. I just want to make sure it wasn't like a ton or something, you know.
No,
Today
it's
we don't
not
have a
really that
portable
heavy.
hole.
It would be, yeah, you would hear it's about, all told, like a wyvern egg is probably between, well, regular wyvern egg is maybe like 50 pounds. A queen wyvern egg is closer to like 75.
Oh, okay. I thought it was,
It's
I was
not-
thinking,
it's
like
not
300
insane.
or something.
No, it's
Okay.
not insane.
Never mind.
They're birth small and grow very, very fast.
Okay. Disregard that.
The other problem is
Well, I can always strap
having
the egg to
young queen trust us.
strap the egg to Koresh. You just book it. It's pretty fucking fast.
I might be able to help with the youngling's trust, but we'd have to see at the time. I don't know. It's going to be a tough situation.
Do the young wyverns and dragon, do they understand Draconic? I'm assuming they do.
Bits and pieces at best. Normally, if you speak forcefully if you speak with your emotions on your sleeve, they can pick up on that more than anything else.
Regardless of the language?
Somewhat, although Draconic does tend to be favored. It lets them, it's closer to how they speak, and they can read the emotions better, but it's been known to work across many different languages.
Okay.
That being said, it's not a failsafe, but it's something at least.
Well, I think at this point we can agree. I'm going to turn to Bramnik that this is our fight now.
You said when we getting a ride or something towards this area or some shit.
When we're ready, yeah.
Yeah, Nix is probably already walking towards wherever the fuck the wyverns are.
Yeah, they're outside. Currently there's there's 7 in, but they're mostly on like a defensive thing. Sort of on a guard for the moment.
Well, it's probably gonna take a couple hours for you to get your troops prepared, right? Get everybody caught up to speed.
Yes, well, we just need a few wyverns to carry you, I suppose. For the moment, what we can do is prep you with any information that may be helpful if you are going to be going.
All of it. All of the information.
Very well. There's not much left, except for, I suppose, some rules of thumb in general.
Don't be
First,
seen.
well, if you can help it, don't be seen. More importantly, don't be heard. If you can help it.
I'll just kind of look between myself and Ta. It's like, yeah, we're real good at sneaking.
I can help with that.
Here's some things that you should probably know first. Well, when it will be another 3 or 4 days before the wyverns get here. Once they do, I will send you a message via the sending spell to tell you that we are ready. Use the scroll to tell us when to go. Remember that there will be maybe an hour or two delay before we can get there. Number 2, the ice fields are treacherous. There are cracks, thin ice areas that you need to be watchful of. I would suggest sending out your most light-footed first. And thankfully, I suppose we'll have the rest of the day to practice this, as leaving tomorrow seems to be the best choice. Just so that we can get everyone in order. We'll need 6 wyverns to even carry all of you, probably. That being said, you need to learn to walk differently. The ice worms infest the glacier. They lie underneath the surface and are attracted to rhythmic movement, like footsteps. So you need to learn to walk without rhythm. And that's how they hunt tremor sense. Remember, in a snowstorm, the ice rocks can very easily find you. They have very keen sight, and they use the storms themselves to hide them. They're very difficult to see. So, remember to look up, even when not in a storm. Lastly, there are Yeti that roam the frozen wastes, even in glaciers. They're relatively rare there, but something to watch out for. Individually, they're not that strong. Together, they can be a problem. I suppose I should mention the Frostclaws. I believe Uthal already told you about them a bit, but they hunt in packs, usually between 6 and 10. They are vicious, very difficult to deal with, and very fast. However, they can be distracted relatively easily. If you should run into some before they see you, a rock thrown down a hill very often will attract their attention and remove them from your path. Afterwards, you must move very quickly to get past them. They're very territorial, but they tend to stick to their own areas. If you, for some reason, see Yeti and Frostclaws at the same time, they are, well, not mortal enemies. They see each other as food items. It's unlikely, as both are territorial and tend to stick to their own areas, but it's an option. We've dropped many Yeti into Frostclaw territory, and that was the end of it. But well, I don't think you'll. Well, you may not have the same opportunities. Find out croppings when you can, and if you must take shelter at night, find a cave. Barring a cave, lay down your tents in a relatively defensible area and pack snow on top of them. It'll hide you from, well, lots of things, hopefully. And make sure that you don't leave a fire burning overnight. It's not fun, but
I may be
it
able to take
attracts
care of
things.
camping.
Well, we'll worry about. I suppose that's
Yep.
for all of you. In the meantime, it's all I really know of the area.
For ice rocks, if let's say they're really high up and we see one, is it better to stand still? Do they see movement better, or just book it to try and get undercover if we're out in the open?
If they're very high up, many times, well, they're not always hunting, but I suppose it depends. If given no other choice, if you see a lone ice rock, it's usually not so much to worry about. They hunt typically in groups. However, if you see a group of them and you see cover nearby, go for the cover. If there's not cover nearby, hide under the snow, I suppose. But do whatever you can. But once you've been seen, that's when they tend to cause problems. If you see them before they see you, you're actually in a pretty good situation. But they do tend to pick up on movement to an extent, but that doesn't mean that they don't recognize things that are static. Again, if there's close by cover where you can get a roof over your head, that would be the optimal choice. Barring that, well, they have difficult times seeing or noticing things either under the snow or that are unmoving. I suppose that's the best I can help in that.
Well, any potions to help us in this venture? Any maybe cold resistance items to help us as well?
I'll see what I can come up with, but at the moment I'm not sure. I'll have to go through the storeroom.
Alright, well, anything will help. Can't believe we're doing this, guys.
This would be the first where I started.
Well, I mean, technically, we're not starting the war. And I guess you're right, Todd, is our fight. We failed to finish off the dealer the last time, so...
Yeah, so about that favor, Ta,
Mm-hmm.
I really, really, really want this Alana Blue Genasi. I really want her alive so I can strangle the life out of her with my own hands.
Deal.
All right.
Well, sounds like we got some training to do on how to walk without rhythm before we leave tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaving tomorrow. We're not leaving today. Is that?
It's up to you, really. You can leave
can't
as soon
remember.
as you want.
Can't remember.
No,
what we
and more
decided.
time.
As soon as you want. I'll still need a few hours to get in the next couple of patrols so that they can take you out. The next two are, well, we'll need two at least to take you and then give them a little bit of time. Minimum of about 4 hours before we can see you off.
We can maximize our time if we train today, sleep very early, and then get it so we can fly out there and arrive there at dawn.
This can be done.
Sounds good.
Very well. I'll make the necessary preparations.
Hey, you're looking better, by the way.
Thank you. I
Totally
only hope that
lying.
all this ends soon.
Us too, I think. Guys, I know it's only been a couple of months, but I need a vacation.
We fly around on an airship.
This
Do you-
has been a
do you need
vacation
more?
for me.
Yeah.
What are you talking?
You have an airship?
Oh
That's
shit!
cool.
Yeah, we have an
Ah.
airship.
Not with us currently, obviously.
That is so
but-
cool. I've always been curious about those.
They said air shit. Air shit. They have
No, that's
very
what's in
very
your head.
tight sphincter muscles.
Buster, bird. God, so many B names. Bramnik.
Shit.
Bramnik. He turns into a bird and poops on people from the air.
Yes, watch. And I'll turn into a bird and then poop on Carillion.
No, it wasn't Nyx this time. That was surprising.
What? Okay.
Oh, did you see that random bird that just flew through Carillion? Look at that. That's weird.
In that case,
That must have been a baby rock.
I'll go ahead and hit you with the end of my
Dude, I am way above your head. You ain't hitting me with shit.
Oh, how far up are you?
So, training.
Yep.
How
Alright,
far up?
I don't know how high
The
it goes.
roof is easily 100 feet tall.
Yeah. So,
King Sucky throw a javelin without it hitting somebody, but on the way down.
Oh, speaking of which, I'm going to take out the last javelin in the pack since I see yours is kind of damaged and give it to you. So that way you have one more good one.
Oh, cool. I'll
'Cause there's
I'll actually take the damaged one and
Yeah.
put it in the fire and let it heat up for a little bit and just stomp on it until it's straight again.
Okay, just give me a strength check. See how long it takes you.
Not that long.
It only takes you about 10-15 minutes to get it roughly about right. You almost managed to light your boot on fire, but it's fine. Or at least the the sort of
The fur
cloth
bit.
wrappings.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, yeah, you manage. Okay. So, Uthal sort of takes you guys aside, and in the center of this large area that the wyverns typically live in, starts to teach you how to take a step. It's sort of step, 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 step. Drag a foot. Basically walking without any discernible rhythm.
almost like zombie walking.
Kind of, but even that, it's not like step, drag. It's like step, step, drag a foot, step, wait a second, then step, drag. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Just
all
random
about
as hell.
yeah, trying to be as random as you possibly can.
I use my shield to make that even more random too.
Yeah, you could.
Shield surfing.
Yeah, but you
On the
Yes.
I really need to
you
do it.
learn that they're attracted to rhythm. So if as you're sort of practicing as you're practicing you hear Uthal sort of say, would be back in the day that some idiot would take out a forge and just beat on it repeatedly, draw all of them to one spot, and the rest of them could run. Of course, you'd have a teleport spell or something like that ready, but
Oh, I don't have
when in
one.
doubt, this works pretty well, and it's much better for long term. Because once that rhythm would stop, well, they'd be back at it.
How far away can they sense us from?
I'm really not sure. It depends on how hard you're hitting your feet on the ice. But the little ones can get you from at least 60 feet away. The big ones, well, don't know. Some of them can get called in from quite a ways. It all really depends.
Okay.
Who has the scroll of setting?
Who did pick
Probably
that up?
somebody that's good with Arcana that'd be able to pull it out and use it in a hurry.
So
Nick?
me, I guess, or Nyx.
Nick, me, I think the
me,
three of us
or-
proficient.
Or
Yeah, the new person.
yeah.
Let's not hand it to the new guy just yet.
I don't know him very
Well,
well.
I mean, why not? He
Okay.
knows all these people. He's familiar with them.
Yeah, but we're not
I guess there is
familiar
that.
with him. He seems okay so far, and I'm sure Tal likes him because he used the fireball spell a couple times.
I didn't even notice that. I thought that was Nyx. I noticed him when he did the time spell, the slow.
Well,
I guess
that
I'll
time
take it and hang
stop.
to it. Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, that would be so awesome.
Anyway,
And over the course of the day, too, at some point, I'll take out the sending stone to Saria, and I'll say, "Wait, what was the
Still
chick's
Siri
name?
Arbeck.
Like, not the no, not
Yeah,
not the
Lady
dealer,
Solenum.
Selenum, was it?
Solenum.
Okay, so I'll just say, because it has to be like 25 words. I'll say something like, "The dealer is alive. Stole a wyvern in the northern weir. Selenum may be alive too. I guess if that's short enough."
yeah, you could probably get that general message across. The
Right.
gist of it at a minimum. Okay, yeah, you don't really receive a response right away,
Yeah, that's fine.
but yeah. Okay, so you guys practice throughout the day, trying to get everything down, for the most part. At least for the journey across the glacial fields. I'm guessing early bedtime sort of thing.
I want to ask.
Yep.
Sure.
God, I keep forgetting her name.
Orlon?
Yeah.
Orlon, if she might have a spare sending scroll.
I suppose I could try to make one throughout the night.
I kind of have an adopted daughter back in Kyokrati that I'd like to get word to.
Well, I can do the spell for you if you can describe her to me, perhaps.
Well, she's a dryad.
Okay.
And I'll give her, the description of
Isn't she staying with
Melee.
Yeah.
the dude?
Oh, I guess she is staying with, yeah.
'Cause she'd probably know him. I think.
Yeah. And actually, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Just
Sort
ask
of
her to message
Actually, I
Paladin
know
Neil.
Neil pretty well. Could you
Yeah.
pass on the message?
Right, him or his wife. They're watching her for me.
Sure.
Just let
What
him know
would you
that
like
it's
to say?
gonna be at least a week before I'm able to return, and that I'm sorry to keep her waiting.
All right. And you see her sort of say a few words under her breath and then start scrawling in the air for a moment. And then she looks to you and says, "Message delivered."
I greatly appreciate it.
No problem. I understand. Anyway, I will see you in the morning. This is going to be quite the thing, potentially.
Yeah. Say that again.
It will not be fun, but it's gonna be epic.
Well, I hope it's fun. I mean, if it's not fun, then I'm not doing my job. But
Oh, no,
we'll
in
see what
character.
things go.
All we need to do is ride on some of those rocks and take it all the way to the mountain. No walking necessary.
Hey,
Yellow
Bramnik, you got one of those dominate beast spells, right?
Ah, you don't need it. You just grab him by the tendril feather thing. It works pretty well.
Yeah, it
Kinda.
looks like it worked pretty well for you.
It works really well for driving them into the ground. Controlling
Yeah.
them, maybe not quite so much, but
I mean, we only need to get in fast, right?
we'll find out.
Bramnik's really good with
Find
animals.
out next week.
Yeah.
On how not to D.
Tune in next week on How Not to Play D&D.
All right. So, the morning comes. You all have your long rest. For the moment, you
Health bag.
I wander around the whole night. I just walk around slowly.
Okay. Partway through the night, you do hear a voice. Don't fail me. You recognize it as your patron.
Okay.
But it's sort of a fleeting thing, sort of just quickly making sure that you know that he's still there. For whatever reason. Meanwhile, as you guys wake up in the morning, it's pre-dawn. There are now 7 or 8 wyvern riders, sort of standing around the fire, talking and sort of catching up and getting ready for the day's ride. Orlin has laid out a small bag, not very big, very, very small, actually. Cat, fuck off. Thank you. And in it, it's addressed to, I think Bramnik is probably who it would be addressed to, but it's meant for all of you. In it, you find 2 regular potions of healing and 1 greater. A potion of heroism.
Ooh, what does that do?
For 1 hour after drinking this potion, you gain 10 temporary hit points that last for 1 hour. For the same duration, you are under the effects of the Bless spell, no concentration required. The blue potion bubbles and steams as if boiling.
Oh,
Could you paste that into chat real quick?
Sure.
Thanks. Or I guess if you just remember, well, that would be good for us.
well,
to
you could always just use the built-in compendium.
Oh, is it? Okay. I didn't know if it was custom made or not. Thank you.
Yep, it is. Potion of heroism.
Yep. And let's see. Also, a single potion of aptly frost giant strength.
Yeah, I've used. I think it was Frost Giant Strength. I've used one of these before, or something like it.
Hill giant, but
It's
yeah.
Hill Giant. Okay, I've used some kind of Giant Strength before. It's very nice. Ripped a whole wall away from a door away from a wall.
Yeah,
I broke the wall, not the door.
Yeah, the door was really well inset. So you
Mhm.
ripped the frame out of the wall, with the door still attached. It's pretty great. But yeah, so that is a for 1 hour. Upon drinking that, you have a strength score of 23.
Hey, Ta,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you keep that potion of heroism, and I'll take that potion of frost giant strength.
Hey, how about I got all the potions in my hand right now? You don't got shit.
Yeah, we can put them in the bag and then sort that out later. Because I'm already writing it down. So
Yeah, just say it's all in the bag. Meanwhile, you guys, the dragon riders, or not dragon riders, wyvern riders, sort of usher you out, making sure you're all ready, giving you a moment to do anything final preparation before they take you out to the glacial wastes.
Do you have anything I can contain some of this claw in to keep it warm while we go?
One of them sort of laughs and steps into a storeroom, pulls out 3 wineskins, basically large wineskins, and fills them and says, "You have to heat them up somehow, but I mean it's not bad cold, but it's much better hot. Nevertheless, this ought to do the trick for you."
Thanks.
Yeah, I run off this stuff honestly at this point.
So, hey, Lucian, before we head out and don't have a chance to slow down, and before maybe some of us die, what the hell are you doing up here, anyways?
Well, I came looking for a something to help my mom. She came down ill, and so I came to the material plane to see if I couldn't find something to help her.
But,
You're not
wait,
from the
no,
material
wait.
plane?
You just
Yeah,
said you
what?
came to the material plane.
Yes,
Where the
Okay,
fuck are
there-
you from?
Yeah, which plane are you at?
the Feywild.
Oh,
Oh,
fuck.
shit.
This is me out of character. Oh, fucking shit. Because I probably don't know much about the Feywild, or Todd doesn't. Maybe a
No.
little.
I know quite a bit about the Feywild.
It's a very interesting place.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But you would know, Bramnik, you would know, I mean, he's an Eladrin, which is an elf of the Feywild.
Yeah.
Misty stuff.
They're not, like, terrible people. There are some
Yeah.
terrible things in the Feywild, but they tend to have their own cities and orders and things like that.
Right. Yeah. Now he's one of the
and
good
actually, the
ones.
city of Eldarest is from the Feywild.
Yeah. Nice.
So, then you know about, like, planar teleportation magics?
Not currently. Not powerful enough for that type of stuff yet.
Well, not able
But
to do
you're
them,
aware
but do you
of
know
it.
about them?
A little bit.
That's one thing I wasn't sure. I'm still trying to figure out how they would have gotten the egg and the baby queen out.
Like
And
shipped into
I'm
the
curious
ethereal
if maybe it was
plane.
like a plane shifting magic thing. I don't know that there's any way to tell that really, but
The
if that would
moment
have worked
you
in there at all, even.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily know off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, once the spell's been cast, it's pretty hard to pick up on that unless it has some sort of lingering effect. But yeah.
Alright.
Anyway,
I got the potions in there.
okay. Anything else you guys want to do before you leave?
I don't think so.
Do
they have any wine, like nice wine?
Not exactly nice wine, but wine, sure.
I want to grab the nicest bottle they have and just put it in my pack.
Not even good.
Yeah, Orlin would actually give you a bottle from her own private collection.
Oh, fucking perfect.
Everything.
Don't suppose they have any
it's not
scrolls
like-
for utility spells.
No, they wouldn't.
Okay.
It's really not. Orlin's
They're
really
back.
the real caster here right now. There are plenty of casters amongst the riders, but most of them were down in Kiokrati and haven't quite made it up here yet.
Cool.
All right. So, as because it's a little bit more fitting.
Uh-oh.
As you guys sort of get ushered to the wyverns, you each sort of climb up onto their backs, the riders in front of you, and you guys kind of just holding on to part of the saddle, to the back of the saddle, or arms wrapped around the waist of the rider. Doesn't really matter too much at this point, as the first two, or as they start to line up in lines of two, or sorry, 2 abreast, 3 deep. They look to you, all of you, and say, "You ready then?"
Aye, Captain.
Well, hold on. First little bit's a doozy. As they each dive out of the opening, the cave mouth, diving down for straight down for about 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet. And then the wyverns each spread their wings and begin to glide back up, having gained a huge amount of speed. You guys,
Whee!
This whole time, Corellian's yelling like a fucking bat out of hell. It's like, yeah!
I feel like I would have tied myself to my rider. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
that's
a
perfectly
seatbelt.
fair considering the situation. But yeah, you can for a moment all you can see is the ground coming up very, very quickly until the wings begin to beat and you begin to rise up into the air. Many of you have sailed on airships, but being this close to the thing that's moving you with so little around you is new for many of you. It's not the same as flying magically. You can feel the power of the wyverns underneath you as you fly off in the dark, beginning to fly above the clouds to where you can see a crystal clear night sky and fly down towards the frost wastes. Smash cut to a white dragon's lair and a very, very familiar smile. And that's where we'll end today.
Cliffhanger. Dun, dun,
Aw.
dun.
Jiminy
It's
Christmas.
fucking 6
Boo.
o'clock.
Boo!
I'd keep playing if I could, but it's fucking 6 o'clock, and
Yeah, I gotta go. So.
and I know people have to go. And
Yeah.
I said, "Can we hang out until 5?" And then I pushed it another 40 minutes. Sorry about that, but
It's not 5 yet.
It's 5:40
5:40.
here.
It's only 2:39 here.
That's your problem, not mine.
Alright, so
I have Europeans to play games with.
Yeah.
with that terribly disappointing cliffhanger, we will convene next week and guess we'll deal out round 2.
And probably die.